Okay. Where's the sound going?
Just give it a minute. All right, and we're live.
Welcome to the WalterFootball.com fantasy football show. This is our week, 21 edition prior to the Super Bowl. Joined once again by Michael Hofer. Michael, how are you, and how's your week 20?
Packers lost. They're frauds. The defense forgot how to tackle. That's unacceptable. Aaron could have played a little sharper in the first half. He said, well, the rush surprised us last time. Well, it surprised him this time too. But, he kind of made amends in the second half. But the defense, it's deplorable. It's very disappointing. I'm happy for Patrick Mahomes. I want to talk about Patrick versus who they say is the NFL's best player. I don't agree with it. But aside from all that, I cannot wait to see the Chiefs and the 49ers. That should be a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was very disappointing by the Packers. We both thought that they would, at least cover the spread, maybe win outright. They did not. Although they kind of had a chance in the second half when they cut it to 14, and all they needed was one stop and then get another touchdown. And I thought that maybe they could cover, but unfortunately they did not. I feel like a couple of errors kind of buried them in the first half. So the one where they're right outside the red zone, and there was a botch exchange from center. So that was 3 points. That was at least 3 points that the Packers could have scored. And then right before the half, when Rodgers did that interception where he threw behind Devontae Adams, that led to a touchdown.
Back.
Yeah, that was kind of a 10-point swing there. And, I think if they didn't make those two mistakes, they could have kept it close. He
was the best running back in San Francisco last year. I always loved his burst. But what I didn't know, 7 teams cut that guy.
Yeah.
You just couldn't tackle him. He set records. It makes you wonder how many guys have never made it in the NFL because they didn't get the chance. I mean, bravo to Raheem Mostert.
Yeah, it also, first of all, before we move on, I also wanted to introduce Kim Calhoun. Kim, how's your week 20 and how are you?
Oh, hi, Walter, and I must apologize. Thank you for saying hello. I got our weeks messed up, and so I boosted us to 22, so I'm sorry about that. I'm still catching up with how you guys do this. But I'm doing great. I kind of placed in one of my fantasy picks that I've been trying to place, and, disappointed like everyone else in some of the turnouts of the game, but very excited to see how this plays out for our fantasy games at the Super Bowl.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So, so back to the Raheem Mostert talk. So, I think it's interesting. I remember him being on the Eagles, and really him. And
he was here in preseason that year, and he was. What's he got to do?
He was a special teamer. You always see these guys in the preseason do very well, like Mike Boone, for example, with the Vikings. And then he got his chance in week 17, and he did well. So that was nice to see. So I think it's kind of instructive to kind of, think that do teams really need to spend first-round picks on running backs? I know this is NFL draft talk. But Raheem Mostert and Damian Williams are the two running backs in the Super Bowl, and neither was a first-round pick. In the conference final losers, you had Derrick Henry, who was the second-round pick, and then you had Aaron Jones, who was not a first-round pick either. So kind of makes you wonder, why these teams spend first-round picks on running backs.
Or he was undrafted.
Yeah, exactly. You can find these guys almost anywhere. Remember, Arian Foster was undrafted as well.
Play him till the wheels fall off and get another one. They probably can do that.
Yeah, I think so too, and it's just it's
the system and the offensive line.
That's really where it matters. The Niners have a great offensive line. The Chiefs do as well. Earlier in the year, when the Chiefs lost to the Titans and the Texans, I talked about this on the site. They were missing 2 starting offensive linemen in those games. But now they're all healthy, and we saw that Patrick Mahomes, he was just unbelievable. And I saw a question on Twitter when it happened. Someone I know and said, "Is Patrick Mahomes the best quarterback in the NFL?" And I was like, "Is it even close? Like, I couldn't even think of who the second best quarterback in the NFL was."
That's my other topic, Walter. I have been watching Politically Correct, ESPN and Fox for a week. And, okay, to me, maybe I'm wrong, but this seems maybe to be a racial issue because all the commentators, and Skip Bayless, I think, is maybe more black than white now, too. They keep saying, well, yeah, a great game by Patrick Mahomes, and it was a great impression of Lamar Jackson, the way he ran it with the greatest touchdown run by a quarterback ever in playoff history. And they say, but he doesn't compare it to the MVP, Lamar. And I'm thinking, why do all, maybe I'm the one that's insane, but every single guy on ESPN and Fox is saying Lamar Jackson is better than Pat Mahomes. And I'm trying to figure out, is it because Lamar is really black and Patrick Mahomes is half white? I'm beginning to really think that, because if you look at their playoff record, well, let's see, what has Mahomes done? He's won. He's played well in every game. He has not thrown a single interception. And how has Lamar done? He hasn't won at all.
Yeah, Mahomes is.
He lights up the scoreboard, and they say, but he doesn't run like Lamar. Well, can you compare Lamar's arm to Patrick Mahomes? So I mean, why is everybody all over Lamar Jackson? I mean, seriously, please explain it to me. Maybe I'm just dumb.
Well, Lamar had a great year, like no doubt. I mean, he's going to win the MVP. And maybe if I were to vote for MVP, I'd give it to Russell Wilson because I feel like he had less to work with than Lamar Jackson did. People will point to Lamar Jackson as receivers, and he's Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews. They're both solid players. They're like Andrews, I like a lot. But he really had nothing else. They were counting on Willie Snead. So I can understand that argument for why Lamar Jackson failed in the playoffs. But I think something that people on ESPN and Fox Sports tend to ignore is that Lamar Jackson had the best offensive line in the NFL blocking for him. Baltimore's offensive line is outstanding.
And big defense.
Yeah, for sure. And that his blocking was a big reason why he had so much success this year. Now, I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Lamar because he worked, to his credit, he worked very hard. He made some major improvements to his passing game, but he's not there yet. He's not Mahomes, not even close.
Mahomes is historically the best quarterback ever after 2 seasons. You can't do any more than what the guy's done.
It's remarkable that Patrick Mahomes is going to be making his 31st NFL start in the Super Bowl, I believe. Maybe it's 33rd. I can't, but it's around there, and he's just going to get better. Like Mahomes in 3 years from now, he's going to be a lot better than he is now, and I think that's crazy. Whereas Lamar Jackson, we don't know. We've seen these running quarterbacks be kind of a flash in the pan.
RG3. They're going to kill the guy next year, maybe, just like RG3, and then everybody will forget Lamar.
Yeah, RG3, Vince Young comes to mind. Remember Vince Young made the Pro?
Oh my God, yeah, right.
He made
that one too.
Yeah, he made the Pro Bowl his first year, and then he made the playoffs the second year, and then he kind of plummeted from there. Yeah. But the thing with Vince Young and Robert Griffin was they really didn't study the playbook that much. They didn't watch that much video. I've heard that Lamar Jackson does. So he's
agreed.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of effort into it. So I don't think he's going to fall off. But what's going to happen with him is that with these rushing quarterbacks, they don't run as much as their careers progress. So he really needs to improve his passing. Whereas Patrick Mahomes is already the best passer in the NFL right now, I think. So yeah, I mean, so who would you have as the number 2 quarterback in the NFL, Michael? If we're both in agreement that it's not Lamar Jackson, who's number 2?
I think I still have to put Aaron there, but I'm kind of mad at him right now.
Yeah, he had the same problem as Lamar Jackson. Like he had one great receiver, Devontae Adams, and then he was throwing to like Alan Lazard and Geronimo Allison and Jimmy Graham, who's like 80 years old at this point. He's just
You're from Philadelphia. Andy Reid has never really had a good quarterback ever until now. Andy Reid's like considered can't win the big one. He's never had a quarterback till now.
Yeah, well, Andy Reid's thing has always been elevating the quarterback. So he had Donovan McNabb for a while.
Yeah,
I always thought I never thought McNabb was a great quarterback. I thought he's like a very good quarterback. So Andy Reid turned a very good quarterback into a great quarterback. Like he had Jeff Garcia, who was at the end of his career. He turned him into a good quarterback. He had AJ Feely, who was perennial backup. He turned him into a mediocre quarterback. He had Alex Smith, who was a mediocre quarterback. He turned him into a good quarterback. And for the first time ever, he had a great quarterback.
As an assistant, he did have Brett Favre, though. And he might have had something to do with Brett's career, too.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, as a head coach, he's never had a great quarterback. And then we've seen him elevate Patrick Mahomes. And, the sky's the limit for Mahomes. As long as Andy Reid is coaching Mahomes, even if Andy Reid doesn't coach Mahomes, Mahomes is going to have an outstanding career. But the two together, I think that's a recipe for success.
They talk about Belichick and Brady. This might be the new Belichick and Brady.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they can win multiple Super Bowls. In fact, it would be a disappointment if they didn't. So for my number 2 quarterback overall, I think I would go Russell Wilson. Like what he does with no offensive line in front of him every year, he just carries the team.
Magic.
Yeah, he's great, and they get to the playoffs every year, even though they have a bad roster.
Yeah.
I love Russell Wilson.
That offensive line. Yeah,
I can't even imagine Russell Wilson with a good offensive line.
Imagine it. Yeah, really.
Yeah, it's he just had terrible blocking every year. So I would go Wilson number 2 personally. I think Rodgers a few years ago you could have made the case for him to be number 2, but he's what 36 now, so he's going to get worse. You have Brady and Breeze on, they're in their 40s now. I don't think you could put them at number 2. I like Deshaun Watson a lot. I like him more than Lamar Jackson personally. I think he's a better passer than Lamar. Not as good as a runner, but he's a better passer. I like Carson Wentz too. I think Wentz is very underrated. He really had nothing to work with this year once his receivers went down. Those are the top guys. But I'm excited for this next crop to come in. We have Joe Burrow coming in this year. We have Trevor Lawrence the year after. Those 2 guys really project as quarterbacks who could be in the top 5 in half a decade from now.
And Tua.
Absolutely. Tua Tagovailoa. If he recovers from that injury, and it sounds like I'm hearing that he's going to throw before the draft, which is remarkable. I heard that when he initially suffered that injury, people were talking about how his career might be over, but now he's going to be throwing before the draft, which is we'll see if that happens. But if he does, I think some teams are going to trade up for him in the draft. I think Miami might have to move up for him if they really want him.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Any other news before we get to last week's lineups? I know Jason Garrett signed with the Giants. Any thoughts on that? Or it was hired by the Giants?
I think that's a very good move by Jason Garrett to kind of pay back for all the years he was faithful to Jerry. He knows everything about the Cowboys. The guy they hired has never had any head coaching experience or any kind. He's a special teams coach. So I think having Garrett there is a great idea. I think it's I don't think much of Garrett as a head coach, but he was a quarterback. He can call plays. I think it was a very, very good move.
I like that they're getting intel on the Cowboys. They've gotten swept by the Cowboys recently. Yeah, so I like it from that perspective. Otherwise, I don't know. I mean, he called the plays in Dallas, and then he had to remove himself from doing so. So it's like, how good is this guy at calling plays? I'm not really sure.
I think Saquon and Danny Dimes.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. And I love Darius Slayton. I was actually doing my I've started my 2020 fantasy football rankings, which I hope will be up next week. And I have Darius Slayton pretty high. I like him a lot for next year. But yeah, I mean, with Jason Garrett, the way he claps, I thought that maybe they could bring him in as like male cheerleader. That I don't think they're going to do that, but I think it's certainly a possibility.
You just made Michael very, very happy.
It's a lot of money to get paid to do this, man. That's a good gig.
Yeah, it's he's very good at it too. Like some people can't clap the whole time, like 3 hours. Like it takes it's a lot of stress on your hands. You get callous from doing it.
Hey, I want you to know the toughest job on that field is probably the cheerleaders, because you have to maintain that happy spirit no matter how bad the players are playing.
It's so important too.
That's right.
Well, I would say the college cheerleaders are, I think, more impressive because they actually do like acrobatics and stuff like that. Whereas like the NFL cheerleaders just like wave their pom poms. I think the college cheerleaders are, I think that actually takes a lot of skill.
And the college cheerleaders don't get paid. So
Tampa got the first gay male cheerleader this year, and we got a gay mayor, and we've got a gay kicker. So we are the gay.
Well, who's the male cheerleader? What team? What team?
The Buccaneers.
Seriously.
He's out there with the chicks all hot. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nothing wrong with that. Congratulations, Tampa, the new gay hotbed, especially the kicker. Antonia Brown went nuts yesterday.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna. Well, before we get to Brown, I wanted to kind of like segue for Tampa. There was some news that.
Yeah, let's do that.
There was some news that Philip Rivers is permanently moving.
Handle.
Yeah,
Glad you brought that up. I had a brainstorm. He's going to Jacksonville, dude.
Okay. Because I heard speculation that he might be going to Tampa.
Yeah,
but
the place that makes sense is Jacksonville. It does.
Financially, though, it might be tough because they still have Nick Foles under a big contract. They don't have an out until after next year, after 2020.
Really? Oh my God.
Yeah. So I think they're stuck with Nick Foles for one more year, unless they really raise the salary cap a lot, which I guess could happen. I think they're stuck with Foles because they're going to have to pay him a lot of money if they cut him, and it's going to be a lot of dead money. Okay.
Rivers has like 9 kids. That's like a major move. They had to move a lot of stuff. And it's weird that they haven't mentioned the city. But, he's from Alabama. He said, want to be closer to Alabama. I'm figuring he's somewhere out in the panhandle. But then I really doubt he's coming to Tampa. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. But I haven't heard any rumblings in this area that that's possible. But, I mean, Tampa's got a pretty young team. Why would they want an old guy? And I think Jameis earned a right for another year.
I think so too. So I was a little surprised by the news when I heard that Philip Rivers is moving to Florida. I thought the number one spot for him was Miami, because if the Dolphins,
maybe it is.
Yeah, if the Dolphins
not reveal the city, that's really weird. That kind of makes you think maybe there already is a deal in the works. Well, why would Miami want an old guy?
Well, they're gonna. I think they really want. I think they really want Tua Tagovailoa, but he's not going to be ready to play to start the year. So they're going to kind of need one. They're going to need a veteran to carry the team for 1 year. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick last year, but he's not under contract. Like they'd have to re-sign him for another year. So why not?
It'd be cheap, right? I mean, come on. Is there really that big a difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick and Philip Rivers right now at their age?
Oh, I would.
Rivers looked old.
He looked old, but they had. I think the Chargers had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year. They're missing 3 starters for most of the year. So Rivers definitely had a down year. But I thought that if he had better blocking, he would have done much better.
Is there better blocking in Miami?
No, there's not. So that's, not right now. But they have 3 first-round picks and they have 3 second-round picks, two second-round picks. So they can definitely add some linemen. And it looks like there are going to be 5, maybe 4 or 5 offensive linemen in the first round of the NFL draft this year. So they can use one of their 3 first-round picks on a lineman and maybe a second-round pick on a guard. And suddenly their offensive line is going to look a lot better. So I think that Rivers, I think he makes a lot of sense if they don't want to re-sign Fitzpatrick. And the way the Dolphins played at the end of the year, I think there's a chance that they could maybe approach the playoffs with Philip Rivers. They have some great receivers, like Preston Williams coming back from injury, Devontae Parker finally living up to his first-round billing. Albert Wilson, I think, is an outstanding third receiver. Mike Gesicki kind of was catching on, living up to his potential. They don't have a running back, but they could draft DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor or Dobbins from Ohio State. So definitely a lot of possibilities for Miami. So if I were Rivers, I'd be a little excited about going to Miami.
Let me take a minute to process this. Miami has not had a decent quarterback since Dan Marino. They did bring a guy in when Saban was there, a guy named Drew, and they said, "Oh, you're not healthy enough." And why was Drew on the market? Because San Diego went with Phillip Rivers. So since they screwed up on Drew, it would be kind of poetic for them to get Phillip Rivers now.
Yeah,
it's a weird kind of serendipity about that.
Yeah, it is interesting how it would play out that way. What is it, like 15 years later?
Yeah. We're with John Breeze, but we're not going to miss Phillip just before he leaves.
Yeah, well, they would eventually get one of the Charger quarterbacks, so I guess maybe it'll work out. And it's a long con for them to do it, I guess.
It's a lot.
Yeah. All right. You brought up Antonia Brown a little bit earlier.
Antonia Brown.
Oh my God!
Oh, we did. We talked about him.
This guy's turned into OJ.
Yeah, it's well, he had that incident like 5 days ago where he had the camera on the police officers and he was saying some pretty bad things about them, and now we have this story where he kind of locked himself in his home. I haven't been following it like too closely. What do you think about the story, Michael?
Well, I usually don't want bad character players on my keeper league teams, but for some stupid reason, I went and when Antonio went to the Raiders, I went and made the trade, and I've had him on my roster, and I'm not going to keep him. I'm throwing in the towel. Okay, I made a bad deal there. This guy is totally certified nuts. Marcellus Wiley just said on TV before our show that, oh, yeah, he's still got a chance. He has to do two things. He has to get an enema on his social media and just stop. And the other thing he has to do is get a psychiatric help. And some NFL team will take him back. And he's right. But I don't want the guy on my team anymore. I can't take it anymore. This is the last straw, dude.
Can I ask you
a
question? This was brought up to me the other night because I think he's tried to reach out and he bought a bunch of items for kids to show, that he has a good nature about him. I don't know the whole story. People were reaching out to me because of what I do, as well. Hey, Antonia's got some good stories. So I kind of did some investigating. I've listened to your stories about the shenanigans or whatever they call nickname. But I agree with you. I don't want a bad football player on my team. Is he so good that a team would pick up somebody with this kind of character? Is he that good of a player? Is there such a thing?
If he were a mediocre player, no one would be talking about him right now. He is one of the best receivers in the NFL. So
wow.
If I think if a team can say that, hey, look, this guy's getting help and he's going to get better, I think they can sell their fans on this guy. But it's what Michael said, what Wiley was saying. He needs to get off social media for sure, and he needs to get professional help. He really needs it. He hasn't been the same player since he took that hit from Vontaze Burfict in the playoffs.
Wow, that could be it.
What kind of hit?
What'd you say?
Concussion.
For anyone who hasn't seen it, I would definitely recommend YouTubing it and just kind of being prepared to see something horrifying. He took an absolutely brutal hit to the head by Vontaze Burfict in a playoff game, and before it's weird. Before that injury, Brown seemed like a normal guy. Like I hadn't heard any bad things about him, and then after it just seemed like he changed. And I think we don't really know everything about concussions yet. We don't know how it affects everything, but it seems like his personality changed ever since then, and he's gotten into trouble since then. So I think it goes beyond getting psychiatric help. I think he really needs medical help as well.
Ryan said he was a bad locker room guy and predicted when he got paid, did he get worse than he did? And like Humphrey Bogart said in the Kane Mutiny, it all started with the strawberries. With Antonio, it all started with Gatorade containers. When Ben didn't throw him the ball enough, he had a fit, started tossing Gatorade containers, and ever since then, the guy has been totally off the chain. I mean, just beyond out of control. doing Facebook Live while his coach is speaking to the team in the locker room, and he's ignoring that. I mean, you just look at the what he attacked Mike Mayock. He had a private conversation with John Gruden and then made it public. I mean, the guy just does everything wrong, and it's like he doesn't know any better. It's not going to get better. This isn't going to end well.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's like I'd put it at like a 0.1% chance that he plays again. I don't see it happening.
Right.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope.
Me too. But I also was a big Josh Gordon supporter, and that broke my heart.
Yeah, that's a shame about Josh Gordon. It seems like he should be getting a chance, unlike Antonia Brown. I would be down with the team.
Him and Antonia Brown. You're right. At least the guy's got an addiction, and he's a good person otherwise. This guy, he's addicted to social media and chaos.
Yeah, it's all crazy with Antonia Brown. Whereas Josh Gordon, he has addiction problems, but he does mean well, I think. And
right, exactly.
And they're not the same caliber player, obviously, but I think Josh Gordon deserves a chance, whereas Antonia Brown needs to do a lot before I think a team considers him. So if we don't have anything else, we can go to the lineups from last week, the DraftKings lineups. I kind of wanted to look at the winning lineups and see if we can learn anything. Obviously, there is no.
Let me move to the lineups. Hold on.
Okay. So the Tennessee backup tight end scoring again didn't win.
No, there's no Anthony Ferkser in this winning lineup, in the $1 million lineup.
No way.
Yeah, he had
my God.
Yeah, Jimmy Graham. So,
Jimmy Graham.
This guy, Dr. Carl, won with 220.96 points. He had a stack of Patrick Mahomes throwing to Sammy Watkins and Tyreek Hill, running it back with Corey Davis. No other Titans, so it was a 3-by-1.
Yeah. Who would guess that would? You would think it might be the real man.
Yeah. So it was a
Derrick Henry. Wow. Yeah. It's sad.
Yeah, it's a 3-by-1 stack. Derrick Henry just didn't make the cut because you had Aaron Jones at 25.3 and Raheem Mostert at 51.6. If you didn't have Raheem Mostert, you had no chance of getting in the money because Raheem Mostert was almost 50% owned. It just goes to show that sometimes chalk wins. I'm more inclined to play chalk running backs than chalk receivers because the receivers are more variant. Whereas I think running backs, you can kind of dictate how many times they're going to get the ball. You can just hand the ball off to them, right? Whereas receivers, if a team wants to take a receiver out of the game, they can just double team the receiver, and that's it. It's game over. I think that's a lesson I've learned from this year is that be more willing to play the chalk running backs and try to get away from the chalk receivers. Although Tyreek Hill at 48.8% ownership was in the $1 million lineup, and he had a great game. I think people were debating about whether to play Hill or Kelsey, and Kelsey did nothing, and it was just a Hill game against Tennessee secondary.
Can we see the second team?
Sure. So the second team at 216.6. Again, Patrick Mahomes throwing to Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins.
Ferkser.
There's Ferkser right there. 9.2 was Graham. Graham was 9.9. So Graham outscored him by 0.7. He ran.
Same team, is it? Oh, yeah, Damian Williams. Okay.
Yeah, he had Damian Williams and Raheem Mostert in the flex. Let's look at their defenses.
How much did he win?
This guy won $100,000. Whereas Dr. Carl.
Wow.
This looks like the winning lineup to me. I would take this lineup over Jimmy Graham even today after seeing the games played.
Yeah, I know. It's so odd that Jimmy Graham was in the $1 million lineup.
Wow.
It's not like he even played well.
Fantasy, just to win that kind of money is nice, right?
Yeah.
That's a nice fantasy windfall. Awesome.
Yeah. So, something else interesting had that happen here. There were, look at how many people tied for fourth place. You can keep scrolling down. All these people had the same score. I think, so it was like about 20 people had this, basically the same lineup. And that kind of goes to show in a 2-game slate, you're going to have
Wow.
You're gonna have a lot of duplicates, and these people split $7,000 20 ways.
Yeah, that lineup made a lot of sense too. Yeah, AJ Brown, you would expect that they would have to get the ball to him. I guess I didn't realize he had 51 yards.
Yeah,
I didn't even see it. Yeah, I must have missed those yards.
yeah, he had one. Remember, he had that one big play to start the game.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, Jonnu Smith was coming on at the end.
That made sense. Yeah, that one made sense.
Yeah, and they had the 49ers defense to pay off for them. I think they were the top scoring defense that week. Again, everyone here up here had Raheem Mostert. So if you had Tevin Coleman instead of Raheem Mostert, my condolences to your bankroll.
Oh, yeah.
So
I'm really happy for Raheem. He seems like a good guy. And what perseverance. I mean, amazing. What a story.
Yeah, it just goes to show, if you have the talent and he has the talent, if you work really hard, hopefully you can keep getting an opportunity. So it's nice. So in addition to the $1 million lineup, I also wanted to look at the winning showdown slates for both games, because we're going to have a showdown slate this week in the obviously with only one game in the Super Bowl.
This, so you're going to have to explain it to me like I'm a novice. I know Kim probably knows all about it, but I don't.
Okay, so the showdown is there are no positions. They're all flexes. You pick 6 players. Your captain costs 1.5 times as much, but he scores 1.5 times more points.
That's cool.
So we have Patrick Mahomes here at $13,200. That's his flex salary. So if you want to get him in your captain spot, he's going to cost 1.5 times as much. So that's what 19,700, I believe, or something like that. So so you have a $50,000 salary to get Patrick Mahomes as your captain. That's about 40% of your salary right there. So that's how it works for showdowns. The first place and second place is just as okay. Just okay, not great or not good, just as okay. Michael, actually, before we started talking,
okay.
Yeah, he's a professional player. He's one of the best DFS players in the world.
Guy. We got to find out who he is. Identify yourself.
Yeah, I don't know his actual name, but he.
What if it's Le'Veon Bell?
maybe. He got first, second, and 10th in this contest, which is remarkable.
Oh my God! I gotta find out who this is before I die.
Yeah, he's well. Before we started this podcast, Michael,
it's me. I'm rich.
Yeah, but before we started the show, Michael, I thought it might be you. I
wish.
I was going to ask you if you play DFS, and then I found out that
No, you just turned me into a degenerate gambler again this year. It didn't. You got me back to my old ways.
I'm glad about that. So I take pride into turning people into degenerate.
We might win some big bucks next year. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. So this winning lineup, I had Patrick Mahomes as captain, and pairing him with Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. And then on the Tennessee side, he had Ferkser, Derrick Henry, and Adam Humphries.
Oh, and it does look like me. I would pick those guys.
Yeah, and I want to look at his second place lineup to see how different it was.
Yeah, how many points is this guy by? You got any way of knowing that?
Sorry?
Do you have any way of finding out how many entries he had?
I assume he entered. Max would be 13, so he had 13 entries.
Okay.
So yeah, you got first and second. Sorry?
What's the entry fee?
In this contest, it was let's see, $180.
Wow! So you did that times 13.
Yep. Yeah, it's a lot of money.
What do you, buddy?
Yeah. No, yeah, it definitely paid off because between first and second, he won $30,000. So second place lineup was Mahomes again, throwing to Tyreek Hill and Watkins. So that was
wow.
Yeah. So that was the same.
You would never take a kicker, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can take a kicker.
You do that, right, Walter?
What'd you say? You
would never take a kicker, right?
Oh no, sometimes you have to, just based on salary. Like you kickers are cheap, so you need to fill out your roster.
Okay.
Same thing with defense. So yeah, I believe he had a Humphries in both lineups. Yes, he did. So the differences there were his first place team he had Ferkser and Derrick Henry, and his second place he had Ryan Tannehill and Harrison Butker. I think with these showdown slates, what I found out is that the best captains are usually running back and receiver. And usually you want those guys instead of a quarterback, because if a quarterback throws a touchdown, it's 4 points to him and 7 points to the receiver. But the exception is if you have a scrambling quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, someone like that. Because if they run in a touchdown or whenever they run the ball, that's just points for them. So
they can throw multiple touchdowns, like a lot of them.
Yeah. So I want to show you my lineup in this contest. I finished 84th. I had Patrick Mahomes throwing to Patrick Mahomes and Damian Williams.
Wow.
Running back with Ryan Tannehill, Adam Humphries, Harrison Butker, there's the kicker, and then AJ Brown, who did not do that well. Michael, during this game, at the end of this game, I told you that I lost some money on the Patrick Mahomes kneel downs. So I was up here. I was up here, and then I went down because the Patrick Mahomes yardage went down. So that's why I lost like $200 something on the Patrick Mahomes kneel down.
Okay, if Butker kicked the field goal there, what would you have gone up to?
I'd have to see how many people had Butker, but I definitely would have won more than $68. So, it's disappointing that It looked good. It looked good for a while, and then Patrick Mahomes started kneeling down, and that happens. All right, let's look at the other game. So this is Packers at Niners. My teams did not do well here.
Flashback time.
Yeah, so we have look at this. Chess is okay. Fourth place. This guy's, as I said, he's one of the best players in the world. Brick 75 is another one. I believe his name is Brian Hooper. He's also one of the best players in the world. And Osimo, I believe he's ranked the number one player in the world. So we had a lot of professionals up here. But Rags 11 FSU. I've never heard of this guy, but he won. Raheem. He had Raheem Mostert as his captain.
He's Deion Sanders.
Yeah. In between broadcasting, he's filling out his defense lineup. So Raheem Mostert is captain. Devontae Adams, Mason Crosby. There we go, kicker. Only 2 points and still won. Aaron Jones, Alan Lazard, and Aaron Rodgers. I think this just goes to show that Mason Crosby, his salary was low. So yeah, $3,800. Sometimes you need a kicker. Sometimes you need a defense to fill out your lineup this way. So yeah, this is the winning lineup, and it makes a lot of sense. Like,
except one guy, amazing.
Yeah, so he took 5 Packers. So his thinking was, and I think this is a brilliant lineup. His theory.
Maybe.
Sorry.
Maybe it was Leroy Butler, the guy who did the first Lambeau leap. FSU.
Okay. I didn't know he went to
this guy is too.
Okay. I think this is a brilliant lineup because how he constructed this lineup was he figured he was kind of envisioned how this game would go.
Yeah.
And so he thought that
tackle Mostert, and then let me get the rest of my Packers.
Right. So he said the 49ers would have a big lead because they would run the ball with Raheem Mostert. And so he paired Mostert with Aaron Rodgers and all of his pass catchers. And he filled that out with Mason Crosby. It was a terrific lineup.
You know what happened there? It was because of the Super Bowl against New England. It was very notable what Shanahan said in a post-game interview. Why'd you keep running the ball? Why didn't you pass it? Because it was working. He didn't do that against the Patriots.
Yep. He made up for it.
It was working. Imagine that. He's really as precocious as a coach. Seriously.
Yeah. No, he took a lot of flack for that. I didn't think that Shanahan deserved blame for that loss. There were a lot of other things that happened in that game. Let's look at Chess's OK's lineup because he got 4th. So he had Aaron Jones as his captain, not even Mostert. So if he just flipped these, he probably would have won. Or he would have won because Gold scored 16 points here. So he had both kickers. He had Gold and Crosby.
Involved in a gambling thing where there are Packer fans that are going to beat me. I'm like doomed. Everybody wins as a Packer fan. I'm going uphill here, Walter.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like so if you flip the captaincy, looks like the only difference is that he had Robbie Gould instead of Alan Lazard. So
that was a good choice. So that's a very good. And look at the points he got.
Yeah, 16 points. Yeah,
there's Gould in there. That was a brilliant choice.
Yeah, no, it was great. Great lineup again. So he kind of went the same sort of deal where he thought Raheem Mostert and Robbie Gould, his only 49ers, kind of constructed his lineup that way where he thought that if the Niners get a big lead, that Aaron Rodgers would throw lots of Adams and Jones, and then maybe Crosby would kick a few field goals. So I think that's how you have to construct your showdown lineups, is you have to kind of build a narrative and correlate your lineups well.
I like the way you described that.
Yeah. Okay. So with that in mind, let's build a lineup of our own.
Let's go. Let's build a narrative. What do you think the narrative is for this week, Kim? How do you perceive?
What do I think? What?
Your narrative first. The 49ers and the Chiefs. Is it going to be Jimmy Garoppolo going off the chain? Is it going to be Patrick Mahomes lighting up? What's your narrative on this game? How do you think it'll go?
All right, fantasy, right? My fantasy thoughts on this in a lot of ways is that they're both pretty phenomenal quarterbacks to have taken their teams to where they are. And given that there might have been a lot of luck to in their ways, I think that Mahomes has a lot at stake because of how high he has been put on the totem pole in all of this and in all the conversations that everyone has. I think there's less stress on Jimmy's back. I think they're both very, very just good at what they do, and they're both going to give it their all. I just think that, honestly, I think it's going to be an even hard knock play. I think we're going to see a lot of because it's not on either home field, right? It's going to be in the heat of Miami. So that's my thoughts on it. I know it's not as educated or downright convicted as what your thoughts are, because you guys know this game better.
You did fine. You did fine.
Well, but I do want to say, I think if I had my pick, I would pick Jimmy.
Oh my God, I knew it. I am so tired of women falling in love with Jimmy G's look. He still has it. You should even. I thought he was above this, but this guy's just as cute. Let me tell you, he's gonna throw interceptions. He's gonna be exposed. But every woman goes, "Oh, who's that? Oh, I like him. He's a really good player." Whatever.
Oh, I think that about Patrick too. Patrick is just. Oh no, Patrick. No. So you can take a look. I mean, of course they're both cute. I've never seen an uncute quarterback, to be honest with you. I've never seen, and I don't know how they do it. Do they pick them on looks? I don't know.
Kim, this guy hangs out with a porn star. This guy hangs out with a porn star. You still want him on your team?
No.
I will say this. My wife doesn't like Jimmy Garoppolo. She actually.
I love your wife, man. What a woman.
Well, you're gonna like her even more. You're gonna like her even more. Her favorite quarterback, based on looks, is Aaron Rodgers. How about that?
You married a smart. Dude, you've got it so made. You're such a lucky man. Oh my God. Does she have a sister?
She has two, but they're both married.
Yeah, we're both. Oops, I took off. Sorry about that, Walter. I meant to keep your screen up. I'm trying to cut things off down here. I got too much stuff up. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that Pat has a lot on his back to maintain the expectations that the world have of him.
He's never failed. Yeah, it's never affected him. He's able to handle it. And you want to know why?
This is what I got to say to both of them. I have a trophy. They got to take it from me. They got to take that trophy from me now.
His dad was a professional baseball player, and at 8 years old, he was out shagging flies with the New York Yankees. This guy has been around professional sports since a little kid. He was raised the right way, and nothing phases him.
He's 3-1 in the playoffs, and his only loss was when he didn't get a possession in overtime against the Patriots. I feel like
defensive end jumped outside.
Yeah,
outside.
I think if the Chiefs won the coin toss in that game, I think they would have won. So
just wouldn't have been offside.
Yeah, or that interception, that was brutal. Yeah, and I had the Chiefs at 35-1 to win the Super Bowl that year, so I was very very angry about that. Okay, so we're talking narratives here. I think two stand out to me, two possible narratives, and there could be more. So one, it could be the same way as same thing as we saw last week in the Packers 49ers game, where the Niners kind of do what the Giants did to Tom Brady in the 2007 Super Bowl, where they put a lot of pressure on Mahomes, and then he's just not doing much in the
exactly.
Okay, so in the first half, Mahomes is just not doing much. The Niners are running the ball. They get a lead, kind of like the Texans and the Titans both did. And then Patrick Mahomes in the second half, just an unbelievable second half to get the Chiefs back into the game, maybe even win the game outright. So I think so if you're going to build the lineup like that, I would kind of go Mostert and then maybe the Niners defense or the Niners kicker, and then stack all the other Chiefs. Put
Giants did that twice to Brady with a very similar defensive line. When you have guys that animalistic and powerful, it's like you got a 13th player in the field. You don't have to rush so many guys, and then you can cover everybody. And that is like the only way the Chiefs could lose, I think.
Yeah. The other game flow I feel like that could happen. The other narrative is I think Patrick Mahomes could just light up the 49ers. So what would happen there is that, Tom Brady, obviously, I mentioned that kind of similarity. The thing that Patrick Mahomes has that Tom Brady doesn't or didn't is mobility. And so Mahomes is going to get a lot of pressure here, obviously, but Mahomes could run away from that and pick up rushing yardage, pick up first downs. I think there's a chance that the Chiefs get out to a big lead and the 49ers have to throw a lot.
The Chiefs have been way behind the last 2 weeks. It could actually happen 3 weeks in a row.
It could, but on the other hand, it may not. So
they're due to light it up from the start.
Yeah, I think so. I think that could happen as well. So if that happens, obviously Garoppolo is going to have to throw more than 8 times. In that scenario, I want Garoppolo in my lineup because he's going to have to throw a lot. I would not be afraid to play, the Chiefs defense against Garoppolo, because if he throws a pick 6, that means that's 6 points for you, obviously. And then Garoppolo has to come back on the field and keep throwing. So I actually like that. I like that correlation, playing your defense against the quarterback in one game. So that's those are my two narratives. Am I missing something? Could there be another narrative that really stands out?
No, I think it's one or the other. I think you're right. I agree with you.
Okay,
I think Pat can light up the field anywhere. I don't care when. He's got that drive and personality. So you just never know when that's going to ignite, right?
Yeah. I guess the other scenario is where they just know that Jimmy G is a fraud, and they do what they did to Green Bay, and the Chiefs can't cover the run. I mean, I guess that could happen. I guess that could happen because remember, run that
coming in.
Yeah. So you could come up with the other scenarios. Maybe this is. Maybe no one scores in this game. Maybe it's like last year with the Patriots and Rams. It's like 13-3 or something.
Happened.
I don't think so either. But in a tournament with 297,000 people, if you want to go with that narrative, not too many people are going to have a lineup based on how that game flow is going to go.
Right.
So how do you want to build this lineup? Do you want to build the lineup where the Chiefs have the lead or the Niners have the lead early? What do you think is more likely? I'm kind of torn.
Let's go with the Chiefs.
Chiefs. Okay, yeah. Chiefs having the lead.
Let's do that.
Okay,
let's go with the Chiefs.
I just can't bring myself. I love John Lynch and I like Shanahan a little bit, but I just can't cheer for the 49ers in this one. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, they're just they got my heart, man.
Okay. So if the Chiefs have the lead, so viable captains in that scenario, obviously Patrick Mahomes. I think Mahomes is the best captain, but he's the most expensive. Other good captains in that scenario, I would say, are George Kittle, because if the Niners are way behind, Kittle's going to catch a lot of passes. Kittle, Deebo Samuel is another one, and also Emmanuel Sanders.
What about
sorry?
What about Damian?
Damian Williams, yeah, he's certainly another one. It's a tough matchup, though.
Oh, he's expensive. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Oh, that's too expensive. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, these are captain prices. So they're 1.5 times as much. So
number 3.
Wow.
I can't believe he's number 3.
Yeah, he's been lighting it up. If you look at his fantasy points per game, 19, 26, 34 in his last 3. He's been outstanding. It's a tough matchup, but he could just fall into the end zone and catch 5 passes, and then
he could. Or Andy Reid could forget he's on the team, or you could put one of the other running backs in.
Yep,
he does.
Yeah, maybe LaShawn McCoy's active for a change.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, let me get him a touchdown. He's going to be retiring soon. Yeah, right. You can't trust that. You can't trust that. So I guess Kittle's like a bargain. So I guess your captain would have to be either the guy that's guaranteed to get the points, which is Mahomes. Kittle's not. That's a good. Kittle, I think, is a bargain there, but I don't know if we should pick him.
I think obviously Mahomes is going to be the highest owned player and captain. So I'm down with to get to George Kittle to be different.
Who's going to be covering Kittle? Who's going to be covering Kittle?
That's a good question. The Chiefs have not done well against tight ends this year. So whoever they have is not going to do well. Their linebackers are the weakness.
They have the rating on here. 28th. Okay, yeah, it's Kittle, baby. Kittle's going to blow up.
Let's go Kittle as our captain.
You're making me think the 49ers are going to win now. Because Kittle's like unstoppable, dude. That guy's a monster.
He's terrific. And the fact that he didn't do anything last week, I think might get some people off of him.
Because he didn't have to.
Right. Yeah. When your quarterback throws 8 times, you really don't have to do anything. All right. So,
I guess he would catch 1 pass in that game. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's crazy. He did draw that defensive holding. So he certainly had an impact. But yes, statistically he did not.
It was blocking.
Yeah. All right. So I want Garoppolo in this lineup as well. He's gonna have to throw a lot in this scenario. So let's go Garoppolo and one more 49er receiver, I think. So we have Debo at 76, Emmanuel Sanders only 52. And then where's Kendrick Bourne at 34? So maybe we throw a Kyle Juszczyk in there. Maybe. So what are you thinking? Kyle Juszczyk only 1,200. So we certainly have our options.
We tried that last week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It didn't work, but that doesn't mean it can't work again. Because
this is fantasy, right? It doesn't. I mean, this is what's great about this. It doesn't.
I think we need to be realistic, man.
Oh, okay.
And for sure that Debo and Emmanuel Sanders are going to get something, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, let me throw this at you, Michael. Matt Breida, 3,200.
There you go.
So
classic
Raheem Mostert is not a pass catching running back. Matt Breida is. And if the 49ers are behind, I think Matt Breida is more likely to see the field.
I love it. Shanahanigans. You can almost count on that.
Okay.
Baby.
Say that again.
I didn't think we were going to be picking all 49ers, but that might be the way to win this thing.
Can you say that again, Michael? I love how you say that.
Shanahanigans. Take it to the bank, baby.
Shanahanigans. I love it.
That's the new tag word for this year.
It's guaranteed. He's guaranteed to screw you over. And this one's predictable. Walter's right. They're behind. They'll be throwing it. Matt Breida, baby. And the other guy's hurt. So it's like we almost have a handle on Shanahanigans for once.
Yeah, watch Jeff Wilson just have Jeff Wilson Jr. have a big. All right, so we have to run it back with some Chiefs. I want Mahomes in the lineup. So we're gonna have 6,800 left over average per player. Wow. We had 13,000 left over. So if we want, we could put Tyreek Hill there. That'll leave us with almost nothing. We could have Damian.
No. Wait a minute. We should get a kicker, dude. Right?
Okay.
Which
yeah.
It's going to be a kicking game? You think it's going to be that big of a kicking game?
I generally there's either a kicker or a defense in the winning lineup usually. So I think that kicker makes a lot of sense.
How much is Mahomes?
How much is what?
Mahomes.
Mahomes is 12,600.
Oh.
I I already put him in. I'm not going to do a lineup without Mahomes.
Okay.
But you didn't put him under the double pay.
Who's the most expensive player left? Oh, it's Damian Williams, isn't it?
It's
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill, 11,000. Damian Williams, 98. Travis Kelce, 96.
Okay, let's look at the bottom feeders here. What do we have on the bottom? Where it makes any sense?
Well, at the bottom there,
Kyle.
These are guys who are not going to play. Anthony Sherman is not someone I'd recommend.
Yeah.
Byron Pringle, if someone gets injured, he's going to get in there, but not otherwise. Blake Bell caught a touchdown 2 weeks ago. There's Jeff Wilson Jr. at 1,000, and Kyle Juszczyk 1,200. McCoy, if McCoy's active, I'm interested in him at 1,400. We have Darwin Thompson could do something at 1,800. We have Mecole Hardman at 22 and Demarcus Robinson at 26. I think both are very viable.
Hardman's on his due, yeah.
Okay. Which one?
Okay, so what can we get for 11,000 something?
We have Tyreek Hill at 11,000.
Oh, okay. Now, Walter, you're an expert on this. Who's going to be covering Tyreek Hill? Richard Sherman part of the time?
Yeah, then the Niners don't travel with their corners.
So
he's
going to get his, isn't he?
Yeah, Tyreek Hill will. They could scheme him open. I think. If the Chiefs really wanted to, I think they could have Tyreek Hill have a good game. I don't know if the Niners might do something different though to counter that. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is risky.
Yeah, for sure. One guy I would not play, Sammy Watkins at 7,000. I think he's too expensive. Where do you want to go? So I think our options are Tyreek Hill and then one of the scrub guys, or we could go Damian Williams or Travis Kelce and then one of the kickers. I think that would work.
I think so too.
All right. Any kicker you prefer?
Well, let's continue to write the narrative.
Okay. So
who's going to get stopped to where they have to kick field goals, and they kick a bunch of field goals?
So in this scenario, the Niners are throwing a lot. So if a team's coming back from behind, they may not go for the field goals. They'll have, on fourth down, they may have to consider touchdowns. They'll have to go for two. So I'm more apt to play the winning kicker than the losing kicker. So in this scenario, it's Harrison Butker. So if I put him in, we have 9,400 left over, and that's enough for Raheem Mostert. Not enough for Travis Kelce. So
what is it with the other kicker? Who can we get if we take gold?
So if we put in gold, we can get Travis Kelce.
Okay. Okay. So do we want Travis or Raheem? That's a good question.
Yeah. But in this scenario, the Niners are trailing, and that means Raheem Mostert's not doing much.
Okay.
So I think this is a good correlated lineup. So we have Mahomes throwing to Kelce to get a lead. And then we have the Garoppolo throwing to Kittle and Breida. And then we hope that Gould outscores the other kicker. So I like this lineup. I think this is certainly a good lineup to play.
It's definitely got character built into it, doesn't it? I mean, there's a lot of heavyweights in here. So this is pretty good. I like it. Now, is this going to be? Do you want to just reserve this and then we follow up next week and repick?
Yeah. Let's do the other narrative next week. So I'll enter this.
Yeah, that's cool.
So this is our lineup where the Chiefs have the lead and the Niners come back. Next week we'll do a lineup where the Niners have a lead and the Chiefs come back. So that'll be fun to do as well.
Okay. And also just to let you know, next week I will be in Miami when we're doing the show. So maybe we'll have a couple ball players behind us to talk to you.
John, pick me up on your way.
It's all good and fun, right? But yeah, to maybe get some feedback from some of the NFL players that are going to be at the event next week will be kind of cool. So anyway, I think the lineup's very, very good. I mean, I love how we got like two quarterbacks, and I mean, how can you lose? It's just
We'll find a way.
How can we lose as Jeff Wilson Jr. scoring 3 touchdowns?
So let me ask you this: we a lot of times we go to the Fantasy Cruncher to kind of take a look at some of this as well. How does this kind of play in the Fantasy Cruncher that you have?
I can show you that next week. I don't have my rankings or my projections uploaded into that yet because
but we're going to be watching for that on WalterFootball.com.
I'm doing stuff for future episodes. We did that with John Bosnich the other day. As a matter of fact, anyone want to watch my interview with John Bosnich coming up? John, as promised in subsequent interviews, he's going to reveal 2 documents about Bobby Fischer that no one has ever seen before. So there's a good teaser for future episodes.
Yeah,
awesome. I'm sure if Chess is okay is listening, I'm sure he'll be tuning into that as well.
Yeah, Chess is okay. You're not going to find out any of this until you tell me who you are. And if you do, I'll tell you stuff about John Bosnich and Bobby Fischer. That's a good trade.
So here we go. We've got our lineup. It's kind of late in the evening. Any other thoughts?
I just Walter Cherepinsky, man. He makes me so cheerful every week. He's so much fun. He's so smart. He's a great guy. And
you can always read the Jerk of the Week story, and that makes you laugh too.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, guys. It's always great to do an episode with you guys.
Right, Walter? You get your anxiety out by writing Jerks of the Week. Maybe I should do that.
It's very therapeutic for sure. It's a lot of fun too. It's great.
I love it when you make Michael jump up and down and clap. I don't know many people who can do that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So thank you. So next week we'll see everyone at 4:30, and we want to know what your fantasy thoughts are for the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next week we'll do a different DraftKings lineup. I'll show projections. I'll show Fantasy Cruncher, and we'll pick the game. So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, you can go to walterfootball.com and tune in next week.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if everyone's saying bye, I will play our song. Hold on.
Bye from Highlight.
Hold on. It takes me a minute, but I will play our song. Maybe I won't. All right. We're going to sign off, folks. Thank you for watching.
Bye. Thank you to our millions and millions of fans on the World Wide Web.
Absolutely.